This is Adrian Neville, and you are listening to the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show.
Produced by the Cleveland Sound Radio Network. Here is the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, hosted by Glenn Moore and Steve Guy.
All right, welcome to the bonus episode of the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show right here on clesound.com, as we are giving you our special interview with NXT superstar and the longest reigning, he holds the longest reign of the NXT Championship, Adrian Neville, going to be joining us because NXT will be coming here to Cleveland in a couple weeks, a week from Friday. NXT Cleveland Agora Theater. We're giving away tickets. We're going to show you, let you know how to get those tickets, because tickets are selling fast. It was sold out quick, Steve.
Yeah, we happen to nab some because we're awesome,
and we're giving them giving 4 away.
Yeah, we're kind. The goodness out of our heart. You know, we have another show on the CLD Sound Network, Rake. You know, random acts of kindness everywhere, every day, however you want to say it. That's what we're doing. We're giving away tickets. We're being kind and giving away tickets to NXT.
And you get to party with us before the show.
Why wouldn't you?
And during the show, because we're going to be there. We're going to be covering the NXT in Cleveland at the Agora Theater March 6th here in good old Cleveland, Ohio. And the only way you guys can win these tickets, there's a few different ways, but the main way we want you is go on iTunes, search the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, like us, leave a comment, leave a rating, and if you leave a comment, we're going to see it, and we're going to pick a few people to get these tickets.
A little random drawing,
yeah,
if you will. That's how you enter the raffle.
And you guys can hang out with us at NXT in Cleveland, the Agora Theater. So go on iTunes, search us, subscribe, rate, leave a comment, and that's how you guys can win these tickets. You can also possibly tweet at us at Glenmore CLE,
the Steve Guy,
and we can pick a winner that way as well. So there's a couple ways to win these tickets to NXT here in Cleveland. So NXT, Steve, has really turned a lot of heads. They have had some great live events on the WB network. These guys, it's a lot different than watching Raw, because it feels like, and this is not a knock on WWE or the Raw product, it feels like these NXT guys have no pressure. You know, They are trying to make the main roster, but they have more freedom to do what they want. They have more time. There's not rushed. There's no plugs or commercials. They are taking advantage of what the time they're given, and they have some 4 or 5 star matches.
Yeah, it's kind of like way back when you had the 2 giants of WWF, but this other one wasn't quite a giant yet in WCW, and then all of a sudden it was like, what's going on over there? What's this other thing that's really grabbing my attention? And that's what's happening with NXT right now. And a big reason is the guy that we're going to interview, Adrian Neville. You know, Gravity may have forgotten about him, but we did not. Some other fans may have, because another guy that has jumped into NXT now to make it huge and making all sorts of noise is their new champion, Kevin Owens.
My boy.
Yeah, you're a big fan of. Kevin Owens has been great since he came on. He's only been on there for a few months.
Yeah.
And before that, of course, Adrian Neville having a back and forth with Sami Zayn, who was the previous champion. Between the two, I should say, between Adrian Neville and then Kevin Owens, he's been phenomenal. They've brought a lot of overseas talent in, people that in the States folks haven't necessarily been familiar with and gotten a chance to see, or guys who have been huge on the independent circuit and now are getting to watch. I mean, it's all great. The Divas on NXT, we've talked about this before. Yeah. Phenomenal.
Charlotte, Sasha, I mean, my 2 favorite right there.
Yeah.
They've had some great matches. The 4-way at the last live event was
along
great.
with them and Becky Lynn and Bayley.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. It's hard to not watch a single match. You're going to find something in every match to be entertained by. A few different moments in every NXT match. I think it's great. Last night, Wednesday night, this week's edition, of course, they've brought back some familiar names to WWE fans. Rhino had a promo. Rhino back again, but on the NXT version, which is kind of cool. Because that's a fitting thing for Rhino. He's always been that kind of, I guess, lower key, so to speak, guy. Alternative, I guess, is a better way to phrase that. Because there's nothing low key about NXT at this point. And Alex Riley also there. Alex Riley, of course, attacked by Kevin Owens last night because he insulted him. So we'll see what happens there.
Also, it's a lot different. I mean, this is like an independent all-star team with all these guys on this roster.
Yeah.
And having at the Agora Theater, you wouldn't say that WWE would be at the Agora Theater. It's a small venue.
Yeah, it's like a ECW style.
Yeah, only 1,000 people you possibly can fit in there. You don't, when you see WWE come to town, they're at the queue. They have 18 to 20,000 people at the event. And this is a WWE production, and they're bringing it on the road, kind of like an indie show, and they're making it into an event. So WWE has their hands all over it, but it has a small venue kind of feel, a more intimate.
Yeah.
And it benefits these people because they're traveling, they're getting used to it. They've done it before, but not for WWE. So they're getting the audience, and that's why this event is selling out like hotcakes. Or like 90 minutes for the first batch of tickets to sell out. They've got a new batch coming out shortly, and of course we're giving away tickets, so it's going to sell out quick, and it's going to have a different feel than going to a Raw or a SmackDown taping.
Yeah, I think the best word that you use right there is intimate.
Yeah,
I think it's a great way to describe NXT, because it's WWE, but it's got that independent feel where you get to see these characters week in, week out, and they're performing essentially in front of probably many of the same fans at Full Sail University. And, not a low production value by any means, but an intimate production setting in that, when you're sitting there, because it is a small arena at Full Sail, it's like you are just being a person that's the part of that, like you and I have watched many independent videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it was amazing matches. And this is just a more upscale version of that in the greatest of ways. And, you watch these guys and they react to crowds and everything much the way somebody in the independent would, in a very more intimate way. It doesn't feel, quite as scripted, maybe? I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's excellent. Whatever it is they're doing, they just need to keep doing it.
Also, we're giving away tickets. NXT in Cleveland. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter. Follow CLE Sound on Twitter, our station here. And that's the way you're going to be able to win these tickets. We're giving away 4 tickets to NXT March 6th here in Cleveland at the Agora Theater. So make sure to go on iTunes, subscribe, and you guys can go back and listen to all our interviews. We have Jerry the King Lawler. We have Seth Rollins. We also have local indie legend here, Johnny Gargano. And our 2-time interview, 2 times with EC3, who was formerly with WWE and NXT.
Yeah.
And now he's with TNA doing big things there. So plenty of interviews. We've had Grado on the show. And then next week, we're going to have Colt Cabana come on the show. So we'll have him. But we're going to go right in the interview with NXT superstar Adrian Neville. Make sure subscribe on iTunes to win 4 tickets to NXT right here in Cleveland. Welcome back. This is Awesome Wrestling Show right here on CLEsound.com. Want to bring our special guest at this time. He is a NXT superstar. He also holds the longest reigning NXT championship. He holds that title for the longest reigning NXT champion. Adrian Neville joining us on the show. Adrian, how are you today?
Hello, gentlemen. I'm very well. How are you doing?
Doing fine. All right. First question right off the bat. People have been talking about this between WWE and NXT, and you guys have been putting on some great live shows on the network, some great weekly shows as well. There's been reports too that the main roster may be a little bit jealous. Do you feel that when you do live events and you're with the main roster that maybe guys are jealous of what you're doing at NXT?
I don't think so. I certainly don't get that vibe when I am working the main roster shows. I think if anything, the main roster guys are kind of supportive in that they're excited to see us kind of thrive, and they're excited to see us kind of make the transition from NXT to the main roster, and they're looking forward to kind of standing across the ring from us and competing against us. I know that if I was on the main roster and I saw the young guys coming in who are hungry and who are killing it down in NXT, I'd look forward to facing them. So I don't think that's the case at all. I hadn't noticed that it had been reported, but I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah, speaking to that, I think you're kind of at an advantage here, Adrian, whereas you've been around through the independents for a while before NXT, and it's a unique situation where there are a lot of guys in NXT and some on the main roster as well that you performed with in the past all over the world. Is that kind of neat in that you guys, it's like you came up together almost through like the minor leagues, and now here you are? Like, what's that like? There's got to be a point of pride in that you had some great matches in the past, and this is what got you here.
Yeah, it's very cool. You see guys that I've kind of, like you say, I've been across the world with, and guys who I respect who are becoming the top names in the business right now. So from a personal standpoint, that's very cool to see, and it's always cool to see your friends do so well. But it's also very cool to see kind of the business go in that direction, the landscape, the change like that. That the fact that what you do beforehand, what you do before you arrive in WWE means a lot these days, which I don't know if that was the case maybe 5 or 10 years ago. Certainly not as much. So that's very cool to see. And I think regarding NXT and how NXT is laid out, I don't think right now NXT is an inferior or I think NXT is becoming kind of its own brand, if that makes sense. So you see a lot of these top guys who, in my opinion, are on par with a lot of the guys who are on the main roster. So I think that the landscape of the company across the board is changing, which is a very interesting time right now.
Now, when you came to NXT, I mean, you were known, you're well known, and like Steve said, you have some great matches with some guys that you're working with now, and you've established yourself. When you came to NXT and the WWE, did you feel anything that maybe you had to reinvent yourself and kind of fit the mold that WWE wants you to fit? And did you have to change anything about yourself coming to NXT?
Well, you certainly have to learn to adapt to the WWE style. It's a completely different style to, the Indies or to Japan. WWE is mainly a television product, so you have to learn how to cater for television audiences, how to work for a television camera, and also you have to work for the demographic that is the WWE universe, which is completely different to the fans elsewhere. So it's certainly an adaptation process, but it's taking what you already have and adjusting it slightly so that it can be received by the WWE universe much better than beforehand.
Now, I have a more specific question about a recent match, NXT rival. You were known as the man that gravity forgot, and certainly showcased that very well. But in a match which I think if people watch NXT and the main roster, your match with Finn Balor had a lot of, hype, but expectations going into it from fans, and lived up to it and surpassed it. What was that match experience like for you? I mean, did you just have a blast? How did you guys feel coming out of that match? Do you feel like you put on one for the ages?
Well, thank you very much. That's very, very kind words. But Finn's a good friend of mine, and we go back a long way. So we knew we had an opportunity, kind of in front of the world. We'd actually worked for New Japan. We'd actually worked in the Best of the Super Juniors beforehand. That was the only singles match we'd had to date. So this was an opportunity to kind of face each other again, but to a much larger, broader audience. So we were, going into that, we were very excited, and we're very much looking forward to Rival. But the match itself, it was just a blast. I mean, Finn is so good. When you wrestle with someone who is that good, it becomes not easy, but it becomes just enjoyment. It becomes a blast, and that's exactly what the Rival match was. It was just, two guys who've known each other for a long time, know each other in and out, just going out there and doing what we do and just having a great time. And I'm glad that it was received so well. Some of the feedback I've received on Twitter and various other social media has been quite overwhelming. So, it's very flattering, and it was just a great experience certainly for myself, but I think for Finn too.
All right, Adrian, I got to ask you about William Regal, and I've listened to previous interviews with yourself, and mentioning you had to overcome some insecurities and maybe a little more self-confidence, but how big of an influence has William Regal had on NXT, but also yourself?
Yeah, I can't sing the praises of William Regal enough. He's been, as far as helping me personally, he helped me a lot in getting here in the first place. But ever since I've arrived, he's kind of been there as a mentor and a role model, and he's really helped me. And I can't say enough. As far as just advice in the ring, but also advice out the ring, and just in life in general. He's somebody who has travelled a very similar path to what a lot of us are doing right now. So he's someone who's been there and experienced that, and the fact that he makes himself available and gives us the time to give us advice and to help us. He's a great guy and a very good friend of mine.
All right, Adrian, we want to do something fun with you here since we have a little bit limited time. We posed a question to a lot of fans, and they gave us some questions. So we want to do kind of a quick lightning round with just quick answers, and we're just going to go back and forth with some quick questions with you. That's cool.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Question 1. Who on the main roster do you most want to put the red arrow onto?
Who do I want to hit the red arrow on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure. That's tough. Maybe Daniel Bryan, because we've stood across the ring from each other before, and it would be great to go one-on-one with Bryan on a big stage.
All right. If you had to pick your feud going to the main roster right now, and you had your own choice of who you're going to feud with, who would it be?
I love to wrestle Dolph. I've never wrestled Dolph, and I think he's a phenomenal talent. I think we could do great stuff. Also, Seth. I think Seth, phenomenal. He's on fire at the minute, and I'd love to get in there next to Seth. So one of those two would be unbelievable.
Way to appease the Cleveland crowd with that answer. Appreciate that.
That's right.
You being English, they want to know who is the greatest James Bond of all time.
Oh, I'm going to have to go with Sean Connery. Although he's got it, he is the best one for me. It's got to be Sean.
All right, final question. Will we see Adrian Neville on the main roster within 6 months?
I very much hope so. I can't tell you for definite because the truth is I don't know. But, if I was a betting man, I'd bet on yes. But we'll have to wait and see. And
two-part question: should there be a NXT match at WrestleMania 31?
Absolutely. Like I said, I don't think NXT is considered a developmental brand or territory anymore. I feel like we put out a product that's just as good as the main roster. So I say yes.
Really quick too. Sum up your first experience with meeting Vince McMahon. We've done this with previous guys on the show. We've done it with Seth Rollins and other guys, indies. But what was your first experience like, really quick, with Vince McMahon?
My first, I haven't really sat down and spoke to Vince in any depth. It's been just, hellos and goodbyes and what have you. But the first time kind of caught me off guard backstage at Monday Night Raw. He was just walking down one of the corridors backstage, and it was a bit surreal, but it was just a quick "Hello, sir. I'm Adrian Neville, one of your developmental talents. Pleasure to meet you." It lasted about 20 seconds, but that was it. It wasn't very notable or noteworthy.
All right, Adrian, we really appreciate you coming on and giving us the time, and we look forward to seeing you in Cleveland on March 6th as NXT takes over Cleveland.
Right after 6, the Agora Theater. That's where you guys do your podcast out of, right?
Yeah, we'll be there, and we hope to meet you and also maybe interview again, because you're a great interview and a great guy to talk some wrestling with.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me, and we're very much, as a brand NXT, we're very much excited about expanding nationwide, but firstly in Cleveland, Ohio, it's going to be a big show, so we're excited about that.
A great interview with Adrian Neville. Put it on the list of our
check it off.
Our star-studded interviews that we've done here on the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show. Our short stint, we've only done 16 shows, Steve, and we've
Yeah.
had a long list of guests: Jerry the King Lawler, Seth Rollins, EC3, Johnny Gargano, Grado, and coming up next week, we're going to have Colt Cabana on the show. We recorded an interview with him, 20 minutes, last Friday at AIW right here in Cleveland. A great interview, talking about just the indie promotion, talking about his career, and just a great conversation with Colt Cabana coming up here on the This Is Awesome Wrestling show next week. You can download that on Tuesday right on iTunes, and that's the way to win NXT tickets here in Cleveland, March 6th at the Agora Theater. And if you cannot win these, they're putting a batch out for sale. And I'm sure that once the event gets closer, maybe next week, they might sell some again. They're trying to kind of gauge on how many tickets are going to be sold, but
why
sold
hold
quick.
out for that? Why hold out for that?
Well,
maybe
they want to.
No. I mean, if you're a fan, don't hold out for that. Maybe what you need to do is subscribe to us on iTunes.
There you go.
And try your luck that way, because we're gonna give away 2 pairs of tickets. Right?
Yeah, we have 4 tickets to
4
give away.
total tickets to give away,
and you get to
folks.
party with us.
Yeah, we are awesome. Believe it or not, that's why this is the This Is Awesome Wrestling show.
Yeah.
This was a very European week for us, by the way.
Yeah,
do you feel like more, no pun intended, but more regal? Not like William Regal, but like cool. I mean, we had Grado coming from Scotland.
Yeah.
And Adrian Neville, the Englishman.
2 great interviews as well.
We've gone international, folks. We've gone international.
I want to give a shout out to all the listeners on Reddit who help us with the questions. Lots of great questions coming from there. And we appreciate your feedback. Let us know what you think of the show. And also, like Steve said, subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter. And also go on clesound.com and check out our network, because we have a lot of great shows on the network. And we might be able to announce next week some plans going on at the end of March that considers
some possible big plans, folks.
It concerns a possible WrestleMania trip, not for you, but for us.
Yeah.
The show, but we might be out there, and we're going to announce something, maybe possibly next week. Our interaction with WWE, and a lot of great interviews coming up here right here on the This Is Awesome Wrestling show for next week. Colt Cabana. Go back, listen to our previous interviews, our previous shows. Check us out, subscribe, become a fan. And if you hate us, let us know too.
And
we'll take it.
Folks, just real quick, so everybody knows, if you are listening outside of Cleveland and
Yeah.
you know that we are from Cleveland, in no way did we prompt Adrian Neville to say he wanted to feud with Dolph Ziggler. That was just awesome that he picked a Cleveland guy. Or Hollywood, Florida, however you want to look at it.
He's a Cleveland guy. Dolph is definitely. We got to get Dolph on the show as well. All right. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the bonus episode of the This Is Awesome Wrestling show. We'll talk to you guys next week as Colt Cabana will be on the show right here
On CLE Sound.